before you guys got here, I was thinking, should I have written something funny to say off the top? And I was like, no, don't, because it won't sound right. And then I was like, okay, you'll just say something funny off the top of your head. And here we are. It's not happening.
Never your strong suit, Jeff.
No, it's not. So we're just going to start the show. Hello and welcome to Deep Cuts the Game, the movie trivia podcast where I give my three guests three movies and they try to come up with the most random, obscure, or minor actors they can from those films. The deeper the cut, the more points they get. I'm your host, Jeff Penn, and with me as always, my co-host, for whom I will only say nice things about today, Alex Young.
What a nice change, Jeff. That's a nice change of pace for me.
Once in a while when we have a special guest and I don't want to seem like a big jerk in front of them.
Boy, now I gotta completely rethink your outro. That's just scathingly rude.
I know we agreed not to talk about anything off the top because we have a special guest and we would rather just talk to them. So let's bring in our second guest who's doing us a huge doing us a huge solid, coming in also in the middle of her day. I know, Alex, you're working, kind of. Vanya, it's the middle of the day for you. So coming back all the way from season 1, where I think she won once or twice, Vanya Garraway. Vanya, thank you for being here.
Hi. Oh, it wouldn't be Deep Cuts if I wasn't in second.
Well,
the second guest.
I know we've tried to line you up with some other guests, and it always kind of falls through. So we're really happy to have you here today.
Especially to the guest today, it's
yes,
an honor.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
All right, well, let's invite in our guest, our big guest today, our special guest. His name is Jim Piddock. He's an actor, writer, producer, voice artist, and so much more. You may have seen him in Christopher Guest classics like Best in Show and A Mighty Wind, blockbusters like Independence Day and Lethal Weapon 2, where I learned about how what is it, Alex?
Immunity?
Diplomatic immunity is such a bad thing for people to have. And you might have even heard his voice in things like my kid's favorite cartoon, Ben 10, and video games like Metal Gear Solid 3. He's co-created HBO's Family Tree, co-wrote Netflix's Mascots, and penned the hilarious memoir Caught with My Pants Down and Other Tales from My Life in Hollywood. Jim Piddock. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Hello. Delighted to be with you.
Thank you very much for being here. You're in France right now. You're living there, but here you are on a podcast outside of Toronto in Pickering, Ontario. So you're a man of the world, so to speak, and we're really excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you very much.
So many things to talk about, and my research team, which is me, does not do a great job of research. So if I state anything that's wrong, you please let me know. But I want to say the show is called Deep Cuts. So two of the deep cuts that I learned about you, is it true that your grandfather worked with Charlie Chaplin?
Yes. Yeah, he had a vaudeville act with Charlie Chaplin and Sid Chaplin in the very early days. And obviously Charlie Chaplin kind of went to America. And he came back to visit a couple of times and had dinner with my grandfather. And twice tried to get him to come to Hollywood. And the first time, I think my grandfather was busy doing a tour. And the second time, Chaplin actually wrote a contract for him on the back of the menu. And, my grandfather then talked to his father, my great-grandfather, who was quite a well-known singer, and said, "What do you think?" And his father said, "I think this movie business is a passing fad. There's no future in it." So he didn't go. So it was I felt when I kind of moved to Hollywood when I was 27, 28, I kind of felt like I'd almost picked up the broken thread from my grandfather. And years later, I ended up appearing on the same stage that he and my great-grandfather appeared in South London. I emceed an event there, which I was asked to do. And it was quite kind of chilling knowing that they had trod those boards, 50, 85, probably between 50 and 100 years ago. And I never met either of them.
Wow. That's now, were your parents in showbiz, so to speak?
No, that skipped a generation.
Okay.
That skipped a generation completely. My father was a technical engineer for farmers.
Wow. Because often it's kind of within the family kind of thing, but for it to kind of skip the generation and for you to be doing this for so long and do so many different things. The other thing I stumbled across, and I'm pretty sure this one is true, is that you are in the DVD extras for the movie Blood Simple as the historical narrator, a fictional film historian doing like a commentary for the movie
Yeah.
Blood Simple.
Yeah, we kept
Uh,
that secret for a long time. Yeah, it was actually the director's commentary in lieu of in the
okay.
special edition, and because Ethan and Joel didn't want to do it, and I didn't know either of them, but I got a call one day out of the blue, and I didn't recognize the voice, and he says, "Jim Piddock, yeah, yeah, yeah." He said, "This is Ethan Cohen," and I thought, which of my friends is doing it? I was like, "Yeah, right, what nice one." I was trying to figure out who is it, and he said, "No, it really is Ethan Cohen." Okay, this really is Jim Piddock. And then he said, "I got your number from Danny Farrington, who's a mutual friend, I guess." And he said, we don't want to do this DVD because we hate the director's, commentary. So we've created this fictitious character who is this blowhard who knows nothing about films, Kenneth Loring, president of Forever Young Films. And he starts out and he's just making mistake after mistake, and then he just loses it completely and goes off on this complete rant. Said it's like an hour and a half monologue.
Oh, wow.
And I was saying to Danny that I wanted someone who was like the guy in Best in Show. And Danny said, "Well, I happen to know the guy in Best in Show." So he gave him his number. So I ended up spending 2 days in a recording studio with Ethan Cohen. And it is absolutely bonkers. It's the most insane monologue I've ever read and ever had to deliver. It's worth listening to just because it is so insane. And we had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs. And for years, nobody knew, and they just kind of passed it off. And then I ran into Ethan and Joel at a party about, I don't know, maybe a couple of years later. And they came literally bounding over to me. And like I said, I'd only met Ethan when we were recording it. I didn't know Joel at all. And they were so excited. They said, Jim, you've got to hear this. We got a letter from someone who was on holiday in the Caribbean, and they rented the director's cut of Blood Simple, and they were absolutely outraged because this idiot called Kenneth Loring had put this, commentary on. He knows nothing about films. He knows nothing about your films. He's a moron. How could you let that fucking idiot do that? You need to sue him. You've got to sue him. And they just loved it. They said that's exactly the reaction we wanted.
That's perfect. And yeah, that's got to be an incredible long, like you said, you were there for a couple days working on a monologue that's like an hour and a half long. And I think the problem is I've only ever seen that movie on like the Criterion channel and stuff like that. Like it's a tough one to track down a physical copy, but like Alex always says, make sure to buy your movies in physical format. Otherwise, and then you get goodies like that. So now I'm going to have to track that down. I'm going to ask a question, and hopefully this will lead into something here for Alex. But I was watching a clip from Family Tree, which to talk about physical media, I don't think is on HBO currently. So luckily my wife gave me a copy of it for Christmas when I was going a little crazy buying everything in physical media. But there is a scene where Chris O'Dowd is having dinner with a girl, and she's really into bones. Collecting bones. If you get a bucket of chicken, what's the piece of meat are you going to take first? And I believe he says the breast meat. And she's like, yeah, but the leg bones got more bones in it. But she literally does a part where she's got her clavicle bones out, and he pours salt in her clavicle. And I believe his line to her is, "I just put salt in your clavicle." And she seems very excited about it. He seems a little disturbed. So I'm wondering, when you're working on something like that and like other projects with Christopher Guest, how much of that is scripted and how much is it just banter where you've got a general idea of where you're trying to get to?
To give credit where credit's due, we wrote a scene in one episode with a terrible date. It was basically a terrible date scene. And we didn't actually flesh it out. Normally we flesh out exactly where the scene goes. And we did a little bit.
Okay.
And we saw the auditions, and Ellie Taylor, who's played the part that you're talking to, was just hilarious, absolutely hilarious. And there was another actress whose name I'm now blanking on, but she was equally as funny. And I called Chris and I said, "I've just watched the audition tapes, and so I can't decide. They're both brilliant. They're hilarious." And he said, "I felt the same way." And I said, "Well, let's have 2 date scenes then. We'll put another one in another episode." 2 date scenes. And so they both got hired. And I wish I could remember the name of the other actress because she was equally as insane. But Ellie that was bonkers, and she came up with most of that stuff. I mean, she's quite well known now in England. She does a lot of kind of game shows and sort of they're very popular in England, and panel shows, and she's quite well known on the stand-up circuit. But
has she been on Taskmaster yet? Because that's the one I watch all the time, and
I have
I'm a
no
little
idea. I'll be honest with you, I don't watch them.
Okay.
But she credit where credit's due. She came up with pretty much all that, and Chris just rode with it, and had to react. So I wish I could say I came up with every single bit of that, Chris and I. But those two particular scenes, we actually underwrote. I think we just gave some ideas of where it was going, but the whole bone thing was hers, I believe.
Beautiful. It's a great scene.
Yeah.
Alex, you had a question.
I have several, but I'll pick and choose. From a perspective of acting, because you act as well as write. What is the hardest scene you've ever had to get through with a straight face, or that did in fact break you? That was just so unbelievably funny.
Well, I don't know if it's still on there on my demo reel. I did a film called The 5-Year Engagement with Jason Segel and Emily. I played Emily Blunt's father. On my first day, I had a scene with Emily in a hospital waiting room. And we were having a meal, or snack and coffee. And I'd never met Emily before. And they asked me to improvise something. I was eating a big bear's claw kind of donut thing. And I was kind of a fairly crass character every scene I had a new Asian girlfriend. I was kind of this kind of old roue. And she was, I was telling a story about, she wanted to know why I got divorced from her mother, played by Jackie Weaver, who's brilliant. And I was explaining that that she caught gonorrhea from me after a trip to Thailand. and so it's a fairly insane scene. And the director, Nick Stoller, said, "Oh, why don't you just, now we've got it, it's great, it's really funny. That donut you're eating, why don't you make some reference to it being like gonorrhea?" And so the crusty whatever and oozing whatever. And so I tried this several times, and I had a problem with Emily right away. We just had that kind of thing where you know when you meet someone and your eyes connect and you both start laughing and you don't know why. And we had that effect on each other, and it never went away. The entire shoot we had that effect. She would basically try and do scenes without looking at me because she said, "I cannot look at you without laughing." And I don't think we ever got through that piece of improv. And then the scene ended up being cut because it was so disgusting. But the outtakes from that I got from Universal, and I think it may still be on my website as part of the demo reel. But it still makes me laugh. We never ever got through it. She could not keep it straight. I mean, we must have done 30 to 40 takes. Never could get through it. So that is the one scene we never. That hasn't happened to me before. And I've worked with Fred Willard, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say all the scenes in Best in Show where he's talking about dogs and you think they ever take a big dog, and I'm like, how are you just playing it straight?
Well, occasionally you see me smile and suppress a smile, and it sort of works because you sort of go, "Oh, he's vaguely amused by this idiot," and then he gets more and more annoyed, and that was what was genius of the way Chris edited it, is that I started being slightly amused. Yeah, right. And that was me actually trying not to laugh, at Fred, because I knew nothing. They deliberately wouldn't let me know what Fred was going to do. So that was tough. That was hard, I will admit. But that was the hardest. And then normally I'm quite good. I usually just try and make other people. I remember when I was in Noises Off on Broadway, which ran for a year or more than a year. My sole ambition during the last few months of the run was to make Deborah Rush and Victor Garber laugh on stage. That's the only reason I went on stage, was to try and make them laugh. And it became just ridiculous, and I succeeded almost every time. They would crack up. So, but usually I can hold it. I can play it straight, but not with Emily, and we've not worked since.
Well, probably working with you, she's had some good practice for like the Quiet Place movies, where she has to just be quiet all of the time and just keep her mouth shut.
She's so brilliant. I absolutely adored her. I just had so much fun playing her dad, and she was just a joy to work with on every level.
I was going to ask, so you've got, I think I looked, it was like 120 some odd credits between acting and voiceovers and stuff like that. So you must get recognized while you're out. Is there anything weird? Like, obviously, if I were to run into you at a restaurant or something like that, I'd be like, Best in Show or A Mighty Win. But like, is there anything that you're like, how did somebody recognize me from this episode of like Murder, She Wrote?
Yeah, no, it does happen. I mean, I don't get recognized a huge amount. Partly A, because I'm more of a character actor and always have been. And B, there have been periods where I've been more recognizable. But in the last few years, I haven't done an enormous amount of very visible stuff. And in LA, you can get by without people bothering you anyway. But, in London or somewhere else, there's some. I mean, Friends is an obvious one, because even though I did one episode, that's been seen by billions of people of all generations from, it's covered every generation since it was made. But there's occasionally someone will go, oh my God, you were in Who's Your Caddy? You were the guy in... and you just go, really? Wow, that's the one you picked. And I'm always thrilled. Listen, what I've done for a living is entertain people, and it's not a rocket science. And there are millions of other people that have done this for a living. I think that you get to a point where you go, is this really, am I just basically, is it a masturbatorial profession? Am I just doing this to keep myself amused? And then when people do come up and say, oh, I love this or I love that, you feel like, oh, okay, it was worth it. So I'm never bothered when people come up and say, I'm sorry to disturb you, but I go, you're not disturbing me, and you've just made my day, because it makes me feel like it was all worth it. So thank you. And I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to take selfies. I'm happy to do whatever you want, sign things. So I having said that, I've never been, to the point where I can't leave the house because people bother me. I know lots of very famous people who hate their fame. They just despise it. And I've never got quite to that point, because it's always just enough to stroke your ego and just enough to make you feel, to validate what you've done.
I mean, I wish once I was out and somebody heard my voice and was like, hey, are you the host of Deep Cuts? And I'd be like, yes, I am. Thank you for, it's not happened yet.
You're like, do you want to come to my house for dinner? Like, just so excited.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's nice to you feel just like it's been worth it.
Alex, did you have anything else you wanted to go with?
Yeah,
go
ahead.
Hop in. No.
You've worked with my two favorite Chris directors, Guest and Nolan, and I'm curious. They obviously make very different movies. I love them all. But are there any similarities in their directing style that you found?
Well, actually, the only similarity would be, and I would put this Woody Allen in the same category, is that they're very, very introvert, quiet directors. They just quietly move around the set, doing minimal amounts of directing and talking. Woody Allen is literally almost like a ghost. He just sort of whispers, and Chris Guest is always, at the best of times, not talkative. And actually, when he's directing, he's the most vocal. And Nolan he reminded me a bit of Orson Welles in the sense that he looked like him. It was kind of spooky. He dressed and looked a bit like him, obviously a thinner version. But he wasn't, he just was so concentrating and so focused on the technical aspects that he doesn't do a lot of actor directing. Woody probably does the most, and Chris lets people do their thing and then just shapes it. Chris Guest.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to get your brain working a little bit here. We've done this with some of our other guests.
Good luck.
I'm gonna name a character that you've played, and I want to see if you can remember the project, because often you have very unique character names. So let's go with Beef Richards.
Oh, yes. Is that even on IMDb? I don't even know if it is.
It is, yeah.
Beef Richards was the, I'll tell you, hang on a second. It's the haircut, the mullets.
The mullets, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Well done.
And by the way, that was a really, I don't know if anyone ever saw that. I don't even know if it aired. That wasn't a bad Keith Richards impersonation I did.
I'm gonna have to track it down. I think the only person when I was looking at it's David Hornsby, who is Cricket from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, isn't it?
Mythic Quest.
Yes. Okay, here's another one for you. Lord Mercer. You're often a lord or a lawyer or something like. So this one's Lloyd Mercer. I'll give you a hint. It's a '90s comedy.
Yeah, I think it was the Drew Carey Show.
Well done. You're doing great.
I mean, I did several episodes of that, so that one wasn't so hard. I did several.
Okay. That one's probably too hard, but I'll give you a try. Mr. Kelly. This is way, way back. And I don't know if you're even physically in it or it's just a name because of the weirdness of this show that I believe started Canadian as kind of like a computer character, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, then it would have been Max Headroom.
Max Headroom, yeah. Wow. See,
well
you're doing great. Like,
well,
if somebody asked,
you gave me the clues.
I did. Yeah,
I'd never have got it.
Yeah, with Matt Frewer, yes.
But honestly, if someone said to me, "What did you play in Max Headroom?" I would never in a million years.
Never know.
Never.
Okay, here's one of my favorites, and I love this director, and I love everything he's doing. So, Father Stack.
Oh well, that was pretty recent. That was the Haunting of Blind Man.
Yeah. Well, see, you're built for this game. Sometimes we're a little worried because I was thinking about it the other day. It would be like if somebody came to me and said, "Do you remember who was in your class in grade 4?" I'd be like, I can remember a handful of these people.
Yeah.
Can't remember every 30 kid that was in my class.
Well, it may be too. I may know way too much about my own career. No, I mean, I think that I can remember. I don't actually watch some of the stuff I've been in, but for some reason, my sense memory goes, oh yeah, I can connect the two.
Vanya, did you have anything you wanted to ask Jim?
Yeah, Cheryl, I have a question. So you've worked on so many television shows, like just one episodes, like a lot of one episode.
Yeah, there are a lot of guest stars.
And back, obviously Jeff said Murder, She Wrote, and you did Mad About You and Crossing
Castle
Jordan
and Lost. Yeah.
Mad About You, I did 2 seasons actually.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. He's Hal Conway and a logic professor, or Hal Conway.
I started as one character and then I took over from Paxton as the neighbor. Yeah.
I was just wondering, have you ever worked on a set where you've been there only for one episode, but you're like, this is kind of nice and this is kind of a great environment, and I wouldn't mind staying here and being like a guest for a longer period of time or having a longer arc? And then my second part is, what have you learned most from moving from one show to another?
Well, I've learned that I don't like doing it. You're always the new kid in school, and I would sooner have a colonoscopy without any anesthetic than do a one-off on a studio sitcom with a studio audience. I did so many of them, and it's always kind of nerve-wracking because everyone's so comfortable and they've done their thing and they can just skate through it, and the pressure's on you. I would say the atmosphere on Drew Carey was fantastic. I loved how relaxed it was. I felt very, very comfortable there. And that's not always the case at all. But they were great. Drew was lovely, and all the cast, I'm still friends with some of them. And I was on that for, again, I think over period of 2 seasons, or certainly 1 season. I did quite a few episodes, and I really enjoyed that. I think the show that I'm trying to think of a show that where I went. There's some shows I really loved, and I thought, Party Down, I thought was a fantastic show.
Yeah.
I'd love to have been on that more. Any of the big shows, it would have been nice to be on. The one thing I've never done is be a regular. I've done recurrings and guests. I guess I was a regular on my own series, Family Tree. I was a regular. But I've never kind of done that thing where you're playing a character for several years. And that has intrigued me and eluded me. It's about the only thing that's eluded me in my career. And now I'm kind of not sure whether I actually want it. I'm enjoying the freedom of, I love doing movies for, being involved for 2 or 3 months and then you're done. I love the new family each time. But whether I would want to be on a NCIS or Law and Order or something for... when I was younger, I did, because the money would have been fantastic and, it would have been established a way, it was a regular gig. But now I'm sort of at a point where I'm, to be perfectly honest, I don't need to work. I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying new experiences of working with different people and producing and writing and acting and doing my own projects. I think I'm more interested in that now.
Nice.
I don't know if that answers your question. It's sort of random.
Perfect. No, it was perfect. It was a perfect answer.
And by the way, there's 2 or 3 shows where I would never have wanted to go back in a million years.
Yeah, I think we've all had jobs like that where we're like, I will do anything I can do to get out of going to this job again.
Yeah.
Now, I saw this on your IMDb on your upcoming projects, and hopefully it's still something you're working on, and I'm not, being a big jerk here, but Unbeatable, or sometimes I've seen it credited as Frankel.
I don't know where that title, Unbeatable. Sorry.
All right, we'll cut that out of the podcast. We don't have to talk about that.
No, it's Frankel. Frankel,
Okay.
Actually, the title we've gone back to the original title, which is Will to Win. And that it's a film about the most famous racehorse in English history, which not very long ago, the horse raced from 2010 to 2012. I think it was 4 years of racing. So it was 20, and about Sir Henry Cecil, the trainer. It's a relationship between the trainer and the horse, and it's a fabulous story. It's a true story. And I didn't know anything about horse racing, but the story was brought to me by somebody who said, I think this will interest you, and it really did. So we are getting very close to, we're hoping to shoot that early summer next year. But we're pretty close, I think. We've got all financing, so it's just now kind of getting everything else together.
Very nice. Alex, Vanya, any further questions before we...
This is my last question. I have one last question, which is, what is your favorite anecdote from your whole career that you're not sick of telling, that you haven't told 1,000 times, that you could share with us?
Or written a book about, or maybe it is in your book, and we can push people to pick up the book.
Well, God, the book is just chock-a-block with those stories. I still think the one that amuses me the most was at drama school, the first day at drama school. When I'd been to university and I'd done a lot of acting at university, and I needed some technical training, so I did a postgraduate 1-year course. And I showed up on the first day, and there was about 50 students in my year, and everyone's trying to impress each other and whatever. And I went out to lunch on the first day, and I wasn't used to getting up that early, so I was quite hungry. So I went out to this hole-in-the-wall Chinese restaurant, ate everything on the menu, and went back to the school for the afternoon. And we had a class after lunch, which I hadn't foreseen, called movement. Mm-hmm. And the only movement I wanted was nothing to do with what they were talking about. And so we had to go into this big studio, and the guys had to wear, bear in mind this is late 70s, we had to wear black tights and roll neck black sweaters. And I felt like an absolute dick. working in there. I felt so self-conscious, and it was probably 2/3 women and a third guys, and in that class. And the teacher was, oh, here we go. Is it ice?
Sorry, it's coming from me.
And the teacher is an American guy. He's quite a camp American. He said, okay, we're going to do headstands now. Here's the mat, and you come in here, you do your headstand, and 2 students will hold your feet, and you roll out of the headstand and move on. So I was like, went to the back of the line. I was like, oh, it's not my thing. So I did I finally got to me, and everyone else was doing great headstands. It got to me, and I kind of did my headstand, and it was okay. And then he said, okay, and release. So they let me go. And as I hit the mat, I did release. I released the loudest, hardest, sharpest fart you've ever heard. It was like a gun going off. It was so... It was extraordinary. And I lay there going, that's it. I'm gonna
yeah, you're done.
I'm going to have to be a lawyer. My second choice was a journalist, so maybe that's still viable. And I lay there with my eyes closed on that mat and just waiting for the explosion of laughter. You know, like when a kid falls over and there's like 2 or 3 seconds before the screaming and the crying. I was just waiting for that expectant, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. And so I opened one eye and looked up, and the whole class was gathered around the mat, looking down at me as if I was in an open grave. And they looked horrified. And the teacher went, oh my God, what was that? And without a beat, I said, it's an old soccer injury. It happens every so often. It just goes out like that. And they went, oh my God, are you? I said, yeah, I'm not sure if I can walk, but or do the rest of the but if someone can help me out. And so a couple of very attractive actresses helped me to my feet and took me over to a bench in the corner. And I sat out the rest of the class while they did all this bullshit fucking gymnastics. And I sat there going, I think I can be an actor. I think I've got it. I think I've got it. That was the moment when I knew. And I think the rest of this year is going to be a waste of time. I've got it.
I've learned everything I need to learn with this one exercise right here.
Now, there's a slight postscript to this. I went into the changing room afterwards with all the guys, and we had some other voice class afterwards, and I was still pretending, hobbling around, and they were, are you okay? And I said, yeah, it feels a bit better. I think, maybe give it an hour or two. It just gets into place, the bone and whatever, just absolute bullshit. And I said, yeah, certainly by tomorrow I should be fine. And they all went on. And then one guy hung back. He was also an American student, coincidentally. He said, can I ask you a question, Jim? I said, yeah, sure. He said, you farted, didn't you?
There's got to be somebody who knows what a fart sounds like.
More of a statement than a question.
Yeah.
And I just went, yep. And he went, fucking A, man, put it here. And I think from that moment on, not only was I considered a viable actor, but I was actually one of the more popular students. So that story always still amuses me, and I think I opened my book with that story because it's so it's one of those defining moments in your career that sort of defined the fact that I was not only going to have a career acting, but I was probably going to be in comedy. And by the way, bodily humor still amuses me.
It works. Right. I mean, I think I've always made the comment that I think if you had to get people from around the world to laugh at one thing, it's that old video from like America's Funniest Videos of like the 2 monkeys, and the one monkey puts its finger up the other monkey's ass, and then like smells it, or he puts it, he smells it, and then
he does a double take. Yes,
he does a double take and falls off the log. And I'm like, people around the world know why that's funny, and they all get it.
By the way, if you get 10 babies, if you go into if you're that inclined to go into a nursery and see 10 babies, if you did a blue raspberry and to each one, probably 9 out of 10 would smile or laugh. It's in human nature. I have a director friend, Mike Ritchie, who ran the 3 big theatres in LA for years. And he had this argument with an actor who didn't want to do a fart joke. And he said, farts are funny. The farts are funny. And he was a producer, major producer. He said, no, sorry, farts are funny. And they are, to me, and to a lot of people. And the best riff I've ever seen on farting was Billy Connolly, if you can look it up. Farting on a plane. Billy is obviously as obsessed as I am with flatulence, but it is. Look it up sometime. It's brilliant. How did we get here? Well, it's taken over half an hour for me to lower the tone, and that's usually it usually happens after about 2 minutes. So.
Billy Connolly, I learned a couple of years ago. Like, I didn't know that he was a musician as much as he was, and that he had been in a band with. I'm gonna forget the guy's name, but the guy who, like, I think he was in like Steeler's Wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Billy's a great banjo player. Yeah.
So that's why I as much as I love doing this show, I love sometimes doing that research and finding that one thing about someone that you didn't know.
I've forgotten the guy's name, the other guy's name. Yeah, I've worked with Billy a few times. He's brilliant. He's just such a talented, lovely man.
Well, like you said, we're up over the 30-minute mark, so we don't want to keep you too long. So I think we're gonna have to play a game of deep cuts.
Good.
So, Jim, what we usually do is we do usually 6 rounds, but if that's taken too long, we can always cut out early. No problems. But so what I do is I give you 3 movies, and then over the course of the 6 rounds, everyone takes a turn trying to remember someone who is a character actor or a deep cut from that movie. Usually I play a little game to let everyone decide where they would want to go, first, second, or third. But as you're our special guest today, can I recommend that you go first?
Well, yeah, I will also, just as a caveat, tell you that I have a lot less of an encyclopedia.
That's fine. And that's why I would like you to go first, because I have a feeling there's at least one name that you're going to be able to get.
Well, I think it's probably a lot of films I'm going to go, I've never seen that.
So, Vanya, as our other guest today, would you like to go second or third?
I'll go second.
Second for Vanya. All right. And Alex, you're in the 3 spot. So I'm going to tell you the 3 movies. Now, we had talked a lot about A Mighty Wind, and we've talked about Best in Show. We've already done those movies on this game before, so I couldn't use them again. We've also done Independence Day, so we couldn't use that again. But I do have 3 movies that hopefully you are at least somewhat familiar with, Jim. So, from 2002, Austin Powers, Goldmember. From 2006, The Prestige. And from 2010, I thought you were going to have a bigger part in this one, Get Him to the Greek. Because I was going to use Independence Day even again, but I was like, you know what? If I remember correctly, you're not in the scene with anyone. You're in like Britain or Africa, and you're getting like a call from the US, and you're like, the Americans have figured out a way. If I'm not mistaken, that is your part. So
yes.
So, okay. Well, while our other 2 competitors are thinking about these movies, let's take a minute to hear a word from our sponsor.
Celebrate your love of cinema with movieposters.com. Whether it's cult classics, obscure gems, or your all-time favorites, they've got the perfect poster for every fan.
Your kids want a Tom Holland Spider-Man poster?
They got it.
Your mom wants a Kevin Costner poster?
They got it.
Dad wants all the Scorsese classics?
Jeff, they got it.
And don't forget something for yourself.
All of the above.
Go to movieposters.com and use promo code DEEPCUTS15 and get 15% off your next order. Okay, so we are back with Deep Cuts. We've got Austin Powers, Goldmember, The Prestige, and Get Him to the Greek with our guests Jim Piddock and Vanya Garraway. I will tell you, between 2 of these movies, I wrote down like 70 people between Get Him to the Greek and Austin Powers that you might not know off the top of your head what their names are, but there's so many cameos in those 2 movies that it is ridiculous. But first up is our guest Jim Piddock. Jim, what is a deep cut you can remember from any of these 3 movies? And let me tell you this, if it's someone who happens to appear in more than one of these films, you get the points for all the films they're in. So who would you say is a good deep cut?
Well, I would say the most obscure person on all 3 of those movies is me. I mean, so far down the cast list, you might even miss me.
You're not the most obscure, but you are in all three of them. So
you picked the three films that have the least amount to do in, I think.
I know. I really wanted to do Best in Show, but we had done that, I think, one of our first episodes, and A Mighty Wind we literally did 2 weeks ago, and that's when I posted something on Instagram, and you liked it or followed it, and I was like, oh, let me reach out to Jim Piddock.
I will tell you the people. I can name some alternatives. John Matthews.
Oh, don't do it. Don't save them. You'll have another round. Save these deep cuts for. Don't worry. No, you just killed it with that one. That's 15 points for Get Him to the Greek as you play a driver who is trying to get them to the airport, and I think you have one line which someone then responds like, "What are we in Middle Earth?" And so you may not have even been in the scene with them because it's shot two ways.
No, I was in the scene, and I think I had more than one line. But yes, I did that because I was just happened to be in London when they were there, and they said, "Oh, do you want to come in and do this?" Yeah. So I said, "Yeah, all right, why not?"
In The Prestige, you're a barrister, if I'm not mistaken, and in Austin Powers Goldmember, you're the headmaster at the school of young Austin and young Dr. Evil. So you've just scored yourself 39 points on one deep cut. Because we always want our guests to do well. Vanya, I know he's taken the big one off the board. What do you have?
Oh, no.
She's like, I was going to say Jim Piddock.
Yeah.
You can say any movie you want, Vanya. You can go from any of these.
No, I'll do Get Him to the Greek too.
Okay.
So deep, I don't know. It's not a deep cut in that movie, but I'm just gonna say Cole Meany. Cole Meany's in it, right?
That's good.
Yeah, he is. He plays.
He's the dad, right?
He plays the dad. Yeah, he actually has quite a big part. Cole Meany, Alex, who is in.
I mean, my touchstone for him is Hell on Wheels, but he's also in Die Hard 2. He's the pilot in Die Hard 2.
Die Hard 2. I was going to say he's also he's in Con Air with John Cusack. He is the guy who does not like John Cusack.
That's right.
I'm a Trekkie. So he's from Star Trek.
That's very good.
That's right.
Cole Meany for 9 points, Vanya. It's a very good cut. Alex, you get 2 in a row. What's your first and your second deep cut?
Sorry, can I get a bonus point for being John Cusack's brother-in-law?
I'll give you 1,000.
Yes.
I will give you 1,000 bonus points if you tell them about the podcast and say it's a lot of fun. You should come on it. And I'll give you equal points for any of the Cusack family, really. Do you ever find yourself in Toronto? I know Anne does The Boys, and I'm assuming she films here occasionally in Toronto. Do you ever find yourself in our
I've shot a lot of stuff there. I've shot a lot of stuff in Toronto. Toronto and Vancouver is probably shot there way more there than LA in the last few years.
Well, if you ever find yourself here, let us know. And drinks are on all of us. All right, that would be great. Alex, what's your first deep cut?
I'm actually going to do one from Get Him to the Greek. I'll do one from The Prestige. But if I'm not mistaken, there's a whole bunch of people who play themselves in it, and I think Pink is one of them.
Whoa, that's a good one, Alex. She's got a tiny scene where she kind of like kisses one of the leads. She's worth 16 points because she has no lines or anything. Amazing. 16 points for Pink. Alex, what's your second deep cut?
In The Prestige, and I think it's like one of the handful of times you get to see him actually live action, is Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis,
yes, as the guy who we'll say he's kind of the gatekeeper to another deep cut in this movie. Andy Serkis for 10 points as well. Well done, Alex. Vanya, we're back to you. You hit us well with Cole Meany. What's your second deep cut?
I'll do Austin Powers. I'm gonna do. Oh no, it's not Quincy Jones. I know Quincy Jones is in.
He is, yeah.
I don't know what that gets me.
It gets you a decent amount. I think he's 12 points for Quincy Jones. Yeah.
Oh, should I do that? Sorry.
No. We go back to Jim because you're in the middle. Yeah, so you wait till we come back.
Was he in Austin Powers? Wow.
He is in the third one in Goldmember because there's a whole, and this is hopefully going to remind people, there's a whole fake movie opening with a bunch of big stars in it, and then the music is all done by Quincy Jones, and then that movie, if anything, is more of a musical than it is a comedy because there's about 3 or 4 like full-on musical numbers in that one.
I had the soundtrack on CD in my
and they do I can't remember what's the name of that song that they use for all the Austin Powers. I know it from the TV show Definition.
It is Quincy Jones music. It's I think it's like a bossa nova kind of. I can't remember something like that.
So Quincy Jones, 12 points. Well done. Jim, we're back to you. You get 2 in a row here. So I know you didn't have a huge part in these movies, but anyone you can remember that that you worked with on any of these 3 films.
Well, I think that Nathan Lane, who I did my first ever Broadway show with,
Yep,
was in Austin Powers.
he was. He is the go-between for the female lead. He's sitting in between Austin Powers and the female lead and doing all the motions for her talking.
I think he may have had even less of a part than I did, if I remember.
Yeah, I don't think he actually says a line.
Yeah.
But he's worth 12 points for Nathan Lane.
What was the Broadway show you were in?
Present Laughter. We made our Broadway debuts together with George C. Scott.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's a stacked cast.
George C. Scott directing and starring.
I do a podcast with Alex Young, so that's what we
same caliber.
I only get 4 points for that. Wow.
No, 12 points for Nathan Lane. 12 points.
God.
Out of 20. That's he's a pretty big star.
So I got to get more obscure.
If you can, but 20 is like the best you can do. So 12 is good. Anything over 6 is usually pretty good. So what is your third deep cut, Jim?
And from one of the other films, right?
You can do from any film you want.
Well, Christopher Neame was the other barrister in The Prestige.
You know how deep that is? I didn't write his name down because I should have realized that you probably worked next to him all day long for several days. And so that's an immediate 20 points because I'm a jerk for not writing the person's name down. Well done. Yeah, because I figured you were probably like, oh, I know the extra that was in the back. I know this guy. Well done. Vanya, we're back to you. You got your third deep cut.
The Prestige. Oh yeah, I was gonna say Roger Rees because I really like him.
Yep.
I loved him since I was young from Cheers, and he shows up in West Wing as a reoccurring character too. And he has this bravado about him. I don't know. I just love him.
No, you're bang on right there.
I think that's where as deep as I'll go, but he's a good one.
Yeah, no, and I literally had Cheers written down because he was kind of like the villain, if I'm not mistaken.
He was just like
the love interest for Kirstie Alley.
He was Robin Colcourt. He was just like this rich guy who was like antagonistic to
That's right.
Ted Danson. And
well
I love him so much.
I did have his name written down though, so he's not worth as much, but he is worth 12. So
here's an obscure question for you: What do Roger Rees, David Thewlis, and myself have in common? And David Threlfall as well. David Thewlis, David Threlfall, Roger Rees, and myself. What do we all have in common? We've never worked together, any of us.
Are you from the same area in England?
No, we've all played Prince Charles in TV.
Oh, really?
In miniseries or movies. Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's crazy.
I could see you guys showing up being in the same audition room, like for the same part.
Yeah, no, I used to see Roger all the time.
Yeah, like crossing paths that way. Yeah.
I was going to say, Jim, the person I thought people might confuse you for would have been, and I can't remember the actor's name, but the dad from The Nanny.
Charlie. I don't think Charlie Shaughnessy and I are that similar physically.
No, but I could see people like, especially Americans or Canadians, if they hear the British accent, being like, I know a British person who's on TV. It's the guy from The Nanny. And it'd be like, nope, that's not me. There's more than one British person who is on TV shows. No,
it's Gary Oldman, although Gary's now got very big, but really big physically. But that's who people always used to go, oh, you remind me of Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, I could see that. Yeah, Gary Oldman, not in Slow Horses, thankfully. You're more cleaned up than he is in that.
A little bit.
Alex, what is your third and your fourth deep cut?
I'm going to take two of those big names from Goldmember from the fake movie, and I'll give them to you 1-2 punch, which is Tom Cruise and Kevin Spacey.
That's right. Tom Cruise plays the Austin Powers person in the fake movie. He's worth 9 points, Alex.
Oh no!
Sorry, what was your second one, Alex?
Kevin Spacey, who I think is only at the very end, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he's in the opening as well. There's someone else in the very end of it.
Yes.
Kevin Spacey is also worth 9 points.
Great.
So well done. You're doing very good. Vanya, you're doing very good. Everyone's getting very good scores here. So what's your fourth deep cut?
Oh, where I'm trying to go in order, go around like that. So, oh yeah, I was gonna say in Get Him to the Greek, Tom Felton.
Oh,
I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
say that he
You're
makes a
right.
joke about
He
like Draco
plays
Malfoy or something.
himself. And yeah, the lead in the movie is making lots of jokes about like,
Yeah,
oh, are you going to Dumbledore's house after
yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and I think Tom Felton just essentially has a like, are you done? Like,
yeah, yeah.
is that it? So Tom Felton for 14 points. Yeah, so
Wow.
well done. Okay, Jim, you've got your fourth and fifth. You're almost done. You're killing it. Other even besides getting yourself for a bunch of points, you've done very good with Nathan Lane and Christopher Neen. So what is your fourth deep cut?
Well, John Matthews was the other guy in the scene with me in
In the
but
Prestige?
he actually then was under a different. He had a different name. It was John Shear, I believe. Or maybe he's John Shear now, and he was John Matthews then. But John Matthews was the guy who I was talking to in that scene.
Let me see. Let me see. I believe you.
I'm sure he's right, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to see. Let me do a Control F and see where John comes in. I sound like I'm smart, but I'm just using the internet. So
Pretty sure John Matthews. In fact, it was definitely John Matthews. He was the other guy.
so okay, is it John Sear? Yes, John Sear. Yeah, I think he was using the other name though, so you're right there.
Yeah.
So I guess you're getting another 20 points because that's deeper than I was going on my list. So this is what happens when. All right. So do you have a fifth deep cut? You get one more here, and then we're back down the list one more time, and then
Does it have to be from any of these films?
It has to be from one of these three films. Yeah. No giving us some obscure actor from a film we're not talking about today, but who can you give us from Get Him to the Greek? And then they don't even have to be obscure. You're so far ahead at this point. You could give us the lead actors.
God, I mean, Independence Day. I'm just going to go.
Oh no! So Independence Day is not one of our movies today, unfortunately. So it's Goldmember, The Prestige, and Get Him to the Greek.
Goldmember. Oh shit! Then that doesn't count. That last one.
It was
Goldmember.
Okay.
What was it? Goldmember, Prestige, and
Get Him to the Greek.
Get Him to the Greek. Oh boy. Prestige. I'm trying to think who was in. Who else was it? I know. Oh, there was an actor. Oh God, what was his name? Because the three of us were together. It was. I'll give you a name. It was. If I can't remember it, I'll give you one of the bigger names. Morgan Shepherd. Yes,
yeah. William Morgan Shepherd is Merritt in The Prestige. I didn't have them written down. And so, okay, so the one you were mentioning, I think we were confused, and it was in Independence Day.
Yeah, so that doesn't count. So I'll give you another.
Yeah, give me another.
I'll give you another one. Daniel Davis was also.
Yep.
In,
yeah, I believe he's credited. He's the judge, so he's in the same scene with you. So he's 15 points for Danny Davis.
Yeah.
You're killing it.
Morgan Shepherd. He's good. He's really great in this episode of Mad Men.
Morgan Shepherd. Yeah, I worked with Morgan. I think he was in Max Headroom. I met him very early on in my career. Yeah, sadly deceased.
I recognize. Yeah, I do know that guy. Oh, he is Captain Witwicky in the first Transformers movie, Alex. There you go.
He plays
Shia LaBeouf's dad.
Yeah, or his granddad. I think he's his grandfather. Vanya, what's your fifth deep cut?
Sorry. Nervous laughter. What was the last movie I gave?
You gave me Tom Felton from Get Him to the Greek.
Okay, so Austin Powers. Oh, I'm just gonna say. Oh, I promised myself this before I came out, like last week when I knew I was coming here. I was just gonna say Clint Howard at some point, just because. Like you should always just say Clint Howard because he probably is gonna be there.
He is in Austin Powers Goldmember. Yes. He's in the control room when they're talking about like blowing up the satellites or something like that. Clint Howard for 14 points. Because he's in most things at some point.
Just walk into this game saying Clint Howard,
and you're gonna get some points. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex Young, what's your fifth and final deep cut?
So when we were talking Goldmember, and I'm like, he's at the end. He's not. The actor they have playing Goldmember is John Travolta.
John Travolta shows up in the very end of that movie for the one scene. He is worth 11 points because it's a smaller scene and it's essentially in the end credits.
Yeah.
John Travolta, 11. Well done, Alex. What's your final deep cut then?
Back to get him to the Greek, the guy from Access Hollywood's in it as himself. And I want to say...
There's a bunch of guys from Access Hollywood, but which one?
Mario Lopez. Mario Lopez.
Mario Lopez plays himself. Yeah. So he's worth 14 points.
Great.
I had him.
Well done. Vanya, what is your final deep cut?
Oh, it doesn't matter what movie I give it for?
No, any movie.
Just Prestige, David Bowie.
David Bowie, yes.
Not going to be deep.
The guy who's working with Andy Serkis. So he's
Tesla.
Yeah. So he's worth 9 points because, very small part. And people kind of forget that there's that whole thing with Tesla in the middle of that movie. Yeah, the hats. Jim,
yes,
it's your last one. It's the 6th round. You've already destroyed all records of points on this game. So no need to go deep. Whatever you got.
Okay, I will go.
And I will tell you, there is one actor that is in 2 of these 3 movies, and no one has said him.
I'm going to go with Ricky Jay.
Nice. Thank you for remembering Ricky Jay. We've talked about Ricky Jay a bunch on this show, and Alex is always like, "Who's Ricky Jay?"
Yeah.
He is the original magician at the start, and he actually was a magician, if I'm not mistaken. We've talked about it a bunch of the show. He's in Boogie Nights as the cameraman. He narrates Magnolia.
He's in a lot of David Mamet movies.
Yeah, he's great. I really like Ricky Jay.
He's also in this really good episode of X-Files where it's a magician episode.
I think there's a movie called The Spanish Prisoner, and I feel like he's in that, but I cannot find a hard copy of that, and I cannot find it. But you said David Mamet, and that made me think of The Spanish Prisoner with Steve Martin and a bunch of other people, and I think he's in that. Well done. Alex, is that your cat or someone else's cat?
Sorry, I'm with cats.
Okay, no worries. Everyone's like, cats are quiet and nice. Meanwhile, I have an Australian Shepherd here that has not made a sound the whole episode. Well, I'll give you a brief rundown of maybe some people we missed. There's so many because
Michael Caine is the crossover. It only just
Michael Caine is the crossover in Austin Powers. And
it came to me too. Yeah.
Let's see. Aziz Ansari, Ellie Camper, Sean P. Diddy Combs, Jake Johnson, Kristen Bell, Rick Schroeder, Christian Shaw, Carla Gall, Meghan Markle is in Get 'Em to the Greek. So everybody's in this movie. You did very well with the Prestige. You knocked out most of the big ones. Austin Powers Goldmember. Other people that kind of showed up in that thing, Alex, were Gwyneth Paltrow and Steven Spielberg playing themselves. Britney Spears plays herself. The Osborne family is in the movie, their entire family. And then Rob Lowe, Burt Baccarat. There's a bunch. So well done. The final score, Vanya and Alex, you guys were very close. 70 points for Vanya, 69 for Alex.
Wow.
So well done.
Ooh.
Jim Piddock, 118 points.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Wow.
If you like stories about guys farting and way more and lots of other things, check out Jim Piddock. You can find his book. Is the best place to send them to your website? I know you've got jimpiddock.com where they can order it online.
Amazon is the best place to buy the book. Probably the best place. Yeah.
Okay. So there is no prize, unfortunately, Jim. The one thing I do ask for the winner of the game is if they could suggest someone they think might be a good guest, somebody who you think has a brain for this sort of thing. You were a little worried about how well you did. You did great. So anyone else you think might do well at this sort of game?
My writing partner, who I really is such a great guy and he's kind of interesting, is Don Lake.
Don Lake, yeah, from Mighty Wind and Best in Shit.
I'd say I would recommend Don. would be, and he's always fun and entertaining.
Yeah, Don's great. Yeah, no, he's one of the siblings in A Mighty Wind, Alex. He is one of the kids. He's Bob Balaban's brother, who does not like folk music, if I'm not mistaken, at all. No, that'd be great. Don, yeah, he's a funny guy. So congratulations on your win. Check out his book. Check out his movies. If you're not sure if you've seen his movie, check out his IMDb. You've seen 35 of Jim Piddock acting things for sure. I really want to thank you for coming on the show and being a part of this. And you owed us no favors, and now we owe you a huge one for coming out and helping us out with the show.
Not at all. It's fun. It's really fun.
No, Vanya, what's going on with you? What's going on at the Revue Cinema?
At Revue Cinema, I'm the curator of Paid and Sweat, and I have tonight, actually, soon from now, I'll be screening The Fast and the Furious. But then this fall, I'm doing a ballet series of films. Center Stage, September 4th, Suspiria, October 16th, and then Black Swan, which the date's not quite set yet. But I'm doing 3 films of ballet, 3 months.
Wow.
That's a good ride.
Come through.
Yeah. Alex Young, what do you got to promote, my friend?
I mean, if anyone's going to be at TIFF this year, come find me. I'll be wandering around seeing some screenings. You can also find me on Letterboxd and all other social media at The Alex Young. And, of course, buy your movies physically and support your local rep cinema if you're lucky enough to live near one.
Perfect.
Oh, sorry, one more thing.
Back to Vanya.
I also am the television assignments editor for That Shelf. So I write a lot about TV there, and I also write about movies. But you can see what I'm writing.
Perfect.
There. Thanks.
Thank you very much for being on the show today, Vanya.
I appreciate it. It was fun.
This is the part of the show where Alex writes me an outro, and he sends it to me via text and makes me read it sight unseen. Alex, is there any notes for today? Like,
I'm going a little easy on you, but you do need to be very sincere in it. Just sincere and kind and sweet. Go.
That is a bit of a stretch. Okay. And that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode. A sincere thank you to Vanya and Jim for taking time to play some deep cuts with us today. And of course to my co-host, Alex Young. I just want to add sincerely, it's a pleasure, nay, a gift, to spend an hour with you every week. Your effortless wit, your insight you bring to every show, it truly is such a special treat. Your sparkling personality is the gloss my otherwise dull life, podcast. Thank you for another incredible show. Be sure to like and subscribe to Deep Cuts anywhere you get your podcast. See you next week. Thanks very much, everyone.